So this is a run through of the introductory exercise to the SBG051 course. This is an introduction to certain terms, other programs that aren't directly JS. We will also then look into the basics of ArcGIS Pro, how we start the program, create a new project. But the first part of this exercise is just using the computer, understanding Explorer. So if you know how to do that, just quickly skip through the instructions and get to the part that's relevant for you. But to begin with, it's going to be a lot about how to use Explorer, file systems, things like this, paths and drives. Details that you may already be familiar with. So these are the instructions. Please do read them, but I'll just quickly go through some of the basics here. So we need to consider what a drive is, a hard drive. Let's just go to the desktop. And if I click on here, so I'm in a remote desktop here, just to show you. All of these, for me, are drives. Now, you may have a different set of drives here. I'm a teacher at the university, so things look a little different for me. I have drives on my local computer as well, which happen to be connected because this is a work computer. But what we have is something called Homes up here, which is actually just another name for this H drive here. Different ways of naming it. So it's a space. Homes happens to be on a server. If I click here, you can see it's called H colon. This is just another way of addressing it. Otherwise, it's called this. It's got this path or address that is used by the local system to understand where to look for data. So otherwise I can click on this. This is my local computer here. This is the hard drive on my actual computer that I'm working at now rather than this remote desktop. But let's not go into that. Let's just stick to this Homes drive because this is where you want to work. And if we return to the instructions, you can see that I'm going through the details of what a drive is. So C colon is a drive on your computer. You might even have a D colon, an H colon, this Homes folder. Another name for this H colon, in our case, is this Homes drive, this server at the university. C is pretty much standard and locked in, certainly on Windows and Linux machines. D tends to be a local partition on your hard disk. When it comes to other names above that, these can be removable drives, USBs, anything. The name is not fixed. This will change a lot. C is fixed, otherwise not. Quick word about instructions. If you see anything in blue here, these asterisks, in the HTML instructions, just click on them and you'll get up a little further explanation that in the HTML versions. So paths then, we need to move on to what paths are. There's a lot of talk about paths and then creating folders. So I'll do all of this at the same time in Explorer. I want you to read these instructions. You should really read them if you're not familiar with how these work. But for now, let's just minimize those and look here. So I happen to have in my Homes, here we are in Homes. This is the main window for Explorer. We can make that a little larger if we like. So I have a folder called Documents. We click on that, nothing happens. But if we double click on it, we go in, we open up that folder, that location. So we're now in my Homes location in a folder called Document. We see that there are a couple of other folders in there already. These are courses, course codes for other courses that say you are enrolled on. This ABC123 is just a dummy code as an example folder. We are now going to create a new folder for this course, for working with the SBG051 course. So if we right click on there, we can go down to New and Folder, and then we just call it SBG051. Click on that. So now we've created a folder for this course. So everything we do on this course now, we will store in this folder. You click on that, and there's nothing else in it. So we've basically we've created some structure. This is a good step forward, but now we need to look at some other things. We need to be a little bit more careful. So we're going to need folders for other data. So if we click here, we can create a new folder. We'll call this folder Docs. This is where we're going to store documents. Now, these documents could be the instructions. It's a good place to store the documents that are instructions. It could be other texts that you are working with. For example, you may receive some instructions or requests. This is just a general layout for how to work with your computer, not just on this course, but on all courses and in your work life as well. You have a project, maybe in Docs there are descriptions of what's required or other metadata information necessary to perform the work. We can also add to this now a folder for the finished product. We're going to call this final. This is where we're going to store or put everything that we are actually happy with and would like to submit for grading on this course, or alternatively to send to a customer, for example. So this is just so that we know that everything that's in this final folder, that's good to go. We can send that off. This is the final product, as it were, rather than the work that we're editing at the moment that's not quite finished. That will be stored in a separate folder that we will get to very soon. At the moment, we don't need to create any more folders. We're going to need two more. We're going to want a folder for raw data and another one for the edited work. But the raw data we're going to get from another source. We're going to actually import a file or a zip file and unpackage that, and that will create for us our raw data folder. And then for the folder for our project work, wherever we're working, the editing folder, we're going to let ArcGIS Pro create that for us. So we don't need to do that for now. So a quick word on paths. Again, this is the path. We're going to this computer. When we're at this computer, we then look for this home's location, the H drive, and then within that we go to Document, and then within Document we look for SBG051, and then in that we will find these two folders. And the path can be shortened considerably to this H colon, which is this drive. We're making the assumption that we're starting from this computer. H colon, and then this slash tells us, okay, the next name, document, slash the next name. And you will notice that I haven't used any strange letters here. There are no Swedish letters, no other non-ASCII symbols, and even the set of ASCII symbols is restricted. So A to Z, lowercase and uppercase, 0 to 9, and then we can use underscore, and that's about it. Don't do anything else. No spaces. Do not use spaces. Even though Windows can handle it and modern operating systems can handle it, we are going to be using ArcGIS Pro, and generally speaking, it can handle Swedish letters, it can handle some strange symbols, and it can handle spaces. There are just some tools, above all the raster tools that we will be using, where these symbols, especially the space, can cause problems. The tool you're using will suddenly say, I can't find the file. Actually, the problem is it won't say that. What it'll do is just give up, throw up some error, and you won't know what's going on. It just says, no, can't do this. And then you'll be scratching your head for ages. Why? Where's the problem? And it's the space. So this is an error that Esri should deal with a lot better. They don't, so you have to. This is about you taking control of your work, not just letting some computer program do it for you. I mean, we're going to be using computer programs and they're going to be doing a lot of the heavy work for you, but you should be in charge of that work. And this is one of those things that you have to do to make sure that things don't go wrong. No spaces in your path or in any names. So let's go back to the instructions again. This was a little bit about which letters and symbols you can use in the names. And here we've created our folders. We've got the docs and the finals within the SBG051 folder. And now we need to go and get our raw data soon. So we need to download the data. And this is going to be stored in a, as I said, in a zip file. Normally, previously on this course, it's been good to go. We've been able to go to a website run by the Swedish by SLU, the Lantbruksuniversitet, the Agricultural University. That was the translation. Who run a service where they provide data from other government agencies. The service is called GET, G-E-T, and from there we can download data from the Swedish Land Survey, Lantmäteriet, from the Geological Survey of Sweden, SGU, and from the Statistics Sweden Authority, SCB. Yes, we can still do that. Unfortunately, Lantmäteriet, the Swedish Land Survey, deliver their data now, and SLU, the GET service, delivers it in such a way that the raster data is difficult for us to handle on this level of course. It's not a problem. Once you're used to GIS, very easy to deal with, but for you as beginners, it would be a little too much to have to work with their raster data to get it into shape. So instead, what we're doing now is we're providing you with a data set. Most of the data that you will be using on this course, and you will work with that. That's just a convenience for this course because of the difficulties with the data that you might otherwise download from the GET service. So now we need to go and get this raw data zip file. And this is located on this drive, and you should be able to click on this link and it will hopefully work. I can't click on that link because I'm a teacher, so this address is not the same for me as it is for you. It's good. So I'm just going to have to go and find this. I know where it is, so that's not actually too much of a problem. But if I click on this, and then I need to find out where I am. Where am I? So maybe I should just speed all this up. Yeah, so I did have to skip forward through a lot of stuff there. I was having a terrible time trying to find the correct address. It's completely different for me, and even the address I had when I was sitting in my office was not the same as when I'm sitting at home working here. So anyway, addresses, not always straightforward, certainly not when working against servers. Which is why the remote desktop is actually quite good for you guys, because then everything is fairly standardized. Yeah, so end of that film, move on to the next.